All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blueberry Season. I am back. I know last week I wasn't here, but Clifton did an amazing job. Well, actually, I made a cameo.
Yes.
But Clifton did an amazing job picking up the slack for me. And so, great job, Clifton, last week.
Thank you.
Today, we have an amazing episode for you. We have our lovely summit camp. What was the title? Okay. Today we have an amazing episode for you. We have our Scout Camp Summit Experience director here with us, good old Johnny Tracy, and I'm going to kick it over to Clifton to do a little further introduction.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blueberry Season. My name is Clifton, and as well as our wonderful guest, Johnny Tracy. As you probably noticed by now, we have another wonderful special guest with us. This is Gilbert, the pumpkin monster. His full name is Gilbert Prescott. As a little ode to my favorite final girl, Sydney Prescott from the Scream franchise. So this is Gilbert. I custom ordered him back in the winter. And he got delivered earlier in July. So last weekend when I went home for my sister's wedding, I decided to bring him back so he could meet all of my wonderful friends here at the summit, and he will be joining us. He doesn't talk much, but he's really good at listening and being patient. So I think he'll enjoy our conversation. Hopefully y'all do too. But yes, we have an amazing guest. This week we have Johnny Tracy. He is from the Memphis area of Tennessee. This is his about coming on like 2 almost full years at the summit here. And yeah, I've had the pleasure of working him for now 2 summers, and we are just super excited to have him on. So just to we're gonna kind of hit the ground hiking, I guess, with this episode. I think we were talking about this slightly earlier, but I think this would be a fun little, especially because we have our 2 Tennessee boys in the crowd. And I know it didn't originate in Tennessee, but the Cookout restaurant chain is very apparent. So Cookout originated in North Carolina, the home state of our lovely producer Alex and tech guy. But even though I have only been to Tennessee about twice, I have heard that they are quite all over Tennessee. So I think a good little opener question, at least, would be, what is everybody's cookout order? Even though we were just talking about it 5 seconds ago. So if Johnny, you could start us off.
Oh, I'd love to. So I actually haven't eaten dinner, so I'm probably headed to cookout right after this. But for me, it's always the 2 quesadilla tray, those cheese bites, and a peanut butter Oreo milkshake. How could you go wrong? And then every once in a while, big Diet Coke for just to balance things out there.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Absolutely.
I get the big double burger tray. I get it steak style with no tomato. And then I usually double up on the chicken quesadillas for my sides. And then I pretty much always exclusively get a cheer wine or a sweet tea, depending on how I'm feeling. And you have to get cookout sauce and buffalo sauce on the side. Cookout sauce for the burger, buffalo sauce for the quesadillas.
So I also get the big double burger tray with bacon, ketchup, mustard mayo, pickles, and then I get the cheese bites, and I get a quesadilla to go with it, and then, as always, a good old cheer wine, because you can never go wrong with cheer wine. And I believe it is almost 1% better than Dr. Pepper. All you Dr. Pepper fans, don't come at me if you haven't tried it.
Cheer wine, it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
It is.
I have a question for you. What is steak style? If you get, I don't know.
I've never heard of that, actually.
Yeah, like so you got your order down to an art and a science. So I just we need to know.
A lot of people, I mean, granted, like I didn't look at this for like weeks when I first started here at the summit a few summers ago. But like, there's more to the menu than just like the tray, like line up on the very top. If you look, like, if say this is like the menu, there's the trays and everything on the top, and then there's the shakes over here on the right side. But on the left side of the menu, you can actually order like a la carte burgers in different styles of toppings. So they have like a nacho style, which has like nacho cheese and like little chips on it. They have like the steak style. They have a few different like styles of burgers. And you can get like your big double burger in the tray as this. So steak style, it has grilled onions, A1, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. And then I usually just take off the tomato because even though I like tomatoes, they just like they like fly off a burger. They always fly out they fly out the other side of your burger, and then they just get super messy. So yeah, that's a steak style burger.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll have to check that out because
But they have like
wait,
other like
steak
toppings
style?
besides just like the typical, like mayo, lettuce, tomato, pickle, ketchup, mustard, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
um,
tomatoes.
it is a
flying out
slight
like
upcharge,
Frisbees.
but I think I can splurge on like the 80 cents. So
So to kind of get us just jumping right in. So Johnny, how did you get your start in scouting? Because I know previous to working here, you actually worked at another scout camp back in Arkansas.
correct,
And
yeah.
so I want to just dive in. How did you get your start in scouting? Like, tell us everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started scouting when I was about 6 years old. I joined Tiger Cubs in kindergarten and progressed through the program and earned my Arrow of Light, and then joined Troop 265 at St. Anne Church in Bartlett, Tennessee, where I stayed for the rest of my scouting career and earned Eagle Scout. During that time, I had some amazing experiences. So I got to participate in a couple of NOACs, attend a World Jamboree, a National Jamboree, participate in Aero Corps 5, and do some other really interesting things and really engaging and fun and incredible things in some incredible places. So I think the most formative experience that I had in scouting was working at summer camp. And so I started working at Kayakima Scout Reservation when I was 16 years old. And I worked there a total of 13 summers, either as a seasonal staff member or as the camp director, council program director, and really loved almost every minute of it. There were, one or two times where, as a camp director, you have to handle some things that aren't so fun. But for the most part, that place informed a lot of kind of what I believe and who I am, and so that's kind of my scouting experience in a nutshell. So been with it, and I guess the third generation scout. So my dad, my uncle were scouts, and my grandfather was a scout. So we camped at some of the same places in the 1920s and in the 2020s, which is pretty cool. So loved almost every minute of scouting that I had as a participant, as a seasonal staff member, as a full-time staff member. So it's really, really cool to get to do something that you think is worthwhile and rewarding and matters. So
Absolutely, 100%.
totally.
I know growing up, I only worked 3 summers at my council camp, Camp McMorris, which is slightly better than Kaikima. I will always say, just because I always say that to Johnny, just because we're kind of close in the same area, and so plus he told me that his council Cub Scouts used to make fun of different camps in the area.
We had a strategy for our Cub Scout campfires where the villain of the Cub Scout campfire would often be named after another camp in the region. So one year, yes, we had the not just Mac Morris, but the evil Mac Morris. So but actually, I went to Mac Morris as a youth. I would camp there for 5 summers.
Really?
And I did, yeah. So I don't know. I can't remember if I told you that, but I earned my environmental science merit badge there. Did small boat sailing on the river, on the waterfront. So almost got lost on the small boat on the river on the waterfront. So yeah, I know Mac Morris very well. So it is no stranger to me.
Absolutely. But I know some of my personal favorite experiences have been at my council camp, and a lot of good memories. And Clifton, you probably have a lot of good memories at your council camp too, besides the ordeal.
oh yeah,
That's
my ordeal experience. I'm sure Johnny has heard that story a million times. So
Wait, what happened?
Oh, so I'll do a very short recap. I won't go on. I won't ramble as I normally do. But basically, back in 2016 in the fall when I did my OA ordeal, we were clearing a trail, and this kid hit a ground hornets and wasp nest, and it literally was just like the cartoons. A black swarm swarmed up. I yelled, "Everyone to get out of there!" We all started running, and then the insects really decided that they liked me that day, and I got stung not once, not twice, but 13 times. And then about 15, 20 minutes later, I went into full anaphylactic shock. I was as red as a tomato, stopped breathing for a little bit. Yeah, and that was my OA ordeal. So it turned out to be way more. So the whole bit, and even like nowadays when I run into like people that were there or like people from my past in scouting and we talk about it, it's always, oh, it was way more of an ordeal than everyone originally thought. So that's my mini claim to fame in the Order of the Arrow.
Gotcha. You've got that built-in joke for the rest of your life, right? Yeah,
exactly. But yeah. But no, I think there's something to be said for council camps for sure. Like very formative from my experience in scouting and everything. So yeah, I mean, I definitely I'm glad and I love working on a national large scale level, but I think there are definitely too many council camps that are super underrated and don't get enough credit for what they provide to so many. I mean, just dozens and dozens of, scouts alike. So, yeah.
100%. And I know one thing that I believe the national BSA page has been doing is shouting out different different camps all across, and they'll like post pictures from the camps, and they'll be like, guess which scout camp this is, and like it's really fun to like go on there and be like, wow, I didn't even know like this camp was out there and that all this stuff existed outside of, say, a national high adventure base. And so 100% council, there's a lot of council camps that are very underrated. But so how did you hear about this summit, Johnny? I know you mentioned coming to national jamborees, world jamborees. So I assume actually that's where you heard about the summit.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually did attend those jamborees, but before they were at the summit. So I actually, the first time I heard about the summit was at the 2010 National Jamboree, where I think that was a time when they announced it to like everyone that they were going to develop the summit, that they had purchased the property and all of that good stuff. So that was the very first time I really heard about the summit. I actually did not visit the summit until December of 2022 for the very first time. I came here, so I came to visit and tour the site for during an interview process, and then about a month later, I lived in West Virginia and I worked here. So it was a really the experience of just visiting the site. I think that first tour that I got probably took somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 hours. That a guy who is also from Memphis, who used to work here, Curtis, drove me around the site and showed me not even everything in 4 hours, but a whole lot of stuff. And really, that first time I was kind of disoriented. I didn't have my bearings right. It was difficult to tell like where things were in relation to other things and all that good stuff. So, but I really liked meeting the people here. So I had the opportunity to, it was December. So at that point, mostly like full-time staff who hadn't left for the holidays yet. And so really, really like the people and the facilities that we have here. We're incredibly fortunate to have some world-class facilities. And so, I absolutely love Kayakima. It will always be home for me. But the summit has a lot fewer problems with like their shower and restroom facilities because their plumbing isn't 70 years old. So that's it's been a really really enjoyable time here. It's a really neat place, and not only do we have a great full-time team, but we have some incredible seasonal staff members too. In fact, dozens and dozens, hundreds of incredible seasonal staff members who work long days, long nights, and really make some cool things happen here. So it's love being here.
Absolutely, 100%. So digging a little bit deeper into that question, so like, what drew your interest here? Obviously, I know you said you love the people, you love our facilities. but like, is there anything specifically that stood out to you? Like, okay, this is like a why for me.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there are a couple of things. One, I'm from the Memphis area, like I mentioned. There are probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 people from just the Memphis area that work here, and so many of whom I had known for years and years because they did scouting in the Chickasaw Council, the local council there, and so one, I knew that if they thought it was a good place, if they came back here every year, a couple of them for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, then it was probably a pretty good place. So that helped kind of dip my toes in and kind of shake off some of that maybe initial, I don't know if I want to come up here. And then I think the other opportunity or the other thing that drew me was that there are some incredible opportunities with the summit being by far the newest National High Adventure Base. And so a lot of folks know the summit as the permanent home of the National Scout Jamboree and the occasional home of the World Jamboree, but we've got so much more that goes on here, both during the summer and not. And it's really cool to be a part of that. And so I think that opportunity and that the potential for development and to add new things and to build something really cool here, continue to build on some really cool things here, really drew me to the place, I think.
Absolutely, 100%. I know I didn't really have anything initially draw my interest here, but what made me want to come back especially was the people, because I believe it was within like the first couple weeks of me being here that I met you, mainly because of another staff member here, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to go meet this guy. He's really cool. He's from Memphis, dude. You've got to go check him out." I'm pretty sure you know exactly
I do,
who
yeah.
I'm talking about. And so I was like, all right, if he says I got to go meet this guy, I've got to go meet this guy. And definitely have become like somebody that I've come to like enjoy being around here whenever you have time to sit and talk to people, because we know that you're a very busy man here.
No, it's all good.
I will say though, like Johnny is arguably like one of the busiest people on site, but I don't think, like, even in my personal life, and like you have like the best ability to, like, no matter how busy you are, to be able to like connect with people and like take that like couple minutes to like connect with people, which is like super impressive. And like I have worked in plenty of other places and been involved in plenty of large media team. Been involved. I like whacked the mic. Been involved in like plenty of large organizations. But like the nice thing about Johnny is that like he is always willing to like connect, and he doesn't treat, like plenty of people in someone with like his power or position could just as not that they should, but could just as easily like never leave their office and like not be, warm or kind or welcoming like in the slightest, or even like give an effort to remember people's names. But like Johnny does, so.
Thanks,
that's like another. That's one reason why we like having you around. One of the several.
I appreciate it, but I really, like I said before, I mean, you and so many others like are the ones who are delivering the program day to day, and so I just see that as my duty to you, right? Like that's I've been really fortunate to work with some amazing seasonal staff members over the years, and the summit here is no exception. Like the folks who want to work like in a scout camp environment are typically a lot of times like they have scouting experience. They know like what they want to do, and so it's really amazing. So like everyone in the summit experience this year did the summit experience as a scout, which is incredible. And so passing on the traditions and the feelings and the hikes and all of the those programs.
No shortage of hikes and summit experience. Consider that a warning, but also an exciting thing, because you get to see the summit experience is the summit experience.
Absolutely,
so,
it is immersive.
Just no ATVs.
Yes, very important to note that. Oh, you have a great ATV program.
Yes,
it's
we
just
do.
Not that
There's
one.
no ATVs in summit experience.
So what was the first time that you guys came here? Like, was it some experience for you?
Well, actually, I didn't want to like knock you, but I've actually never done the summit experience. I've done.
You've done it.
I've done, yeah, no. This is my third summer working here, and I did the 13 Jamboree as a Boy Scout, 17 with venturing, came back in 18 for Venturing Fest, and then came back the next summer in 19, and I was a JST for the World Scout Jamboree, and worked in the archery range, and then started in 22.
Okay.
So I had done almost all the activities except for Alexander's Eagle Flight, formerly known as Big Zip, up until Venturing Fest in 18, and then on a extremely regular basis, thank goodness, which is something that never gets old, which is nice about working here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But yeah.
Well, so if you didn't do the summit experience, but you did like the equivalent.
But I did almost all the activities. I was fortunate enough to be able to come multiple times before working here, and have the opportunity to do a good amount of activities before, at various jamborees and stuff. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
not everyone can say that, unfortunately, but I'm crazy, so I was like, I'm getting my money's worth out of these jamborees. I wasn't letting me and my friends are not letting the long lines get in the way of our activities.
So, actually, my first experience here was as a staff member last year. So, I had never gone to the summit before. I was supposed to go in 20 something. I don't know, with my unit, but some things happened. Wasn't able to make it. And I wound up talking to somebody, and I was like, yeah, I did photography. I've been doing media for the OA National Communications Subcommittee. Like, I've been doing all this. And he was like, Summit has a media department, right? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And he was like, you should apply. He was like, you take pretty good pictures. And I'm like, well, thank you. They suck, but thank you. And so, long story short, I put in an application. Kevin interviews me, or actually it was Theo Lear first, and then Kevin and Calvin interviewed me, and then now I'm here, and I guess they like me enough to bring me back this year. So,
of course.
So yeah, never came here before as a participant, but I've gotten to experience pretty much everything at the summit as a staff member.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, that's really amazing. Like I feel like we interact with like several like people with scouting experience, like who have never been here, who like come and do a really amazing job. So that's awesome. Yeah, like, and Clifton was here from like the beginning, so like the 2013.
Yeah, no, it is a cool, like, I mean, it is kind of a cool full circle moment. Like, even when I first started, especially like last year too, when we hit the 10-year, it was like, like I've been coming here for sort of 10 years. Like, it's kind of cool that I work here now. Because I just have like such a history with the site.
Yeah. What's like the best change you think that happened from like 2013 to now?
Johnny on the spot, literally.
No, well, like this is like such a negative and like such like a oh, I have to say this without like this is such like a short answer where like I feel like I'm being like so entitled and like rude, but like kind of everything. Because in 13 was like I was really grateful for the experience. That 13 was my first high adventure trip ever.
Yeah.
But it was just like such a hot mess. Like it was so hot. The logistics were a nightmare. A lot of us didn't get to do a ton of activities and everything. And I was super young. I had turned 13 like a month before arriving. And I just didn't have a ton of like concrete scouting experience. Like, I mean, it was still a really cool experience that I can look back on and be grateful for. But like when I came in 17, like it was such a shift. Like everything seemed a lot more well run, and like the food logistics were so much easier, and like the communication had like ramped up, because I mean, even though like between 13 and 17 doesn't seem like that much of a gap, like just the, I don't know, like the rise in like technology and social media and just like more staff and more logistics people, and there was like seasonal staff at that time too. So it just like it was way better in 17 and 18 for sure when I came. And then even in 19, like I thought I was really impressed with I mean, obviously, like things happen, but they're gonna happen anywhere. It's a Boy Scout camp. But
Yeah.
I was like, as I kept coming, I was super impressed with logistics, and even working here now, like it's nice knowing that we have some like really great facilities,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, and we kind of have a hang of things. So definitely things can kind of drop on a dime, but it's scouting after all. So never a dull moment at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. I can say that for sure. And then also, in speaking of activities, briefly, what do you think is your favorite program area that we have here at the Summit, Johnny?
Oh, that's a put me on the spot question. Okay.
Or I can answer first if you want.
Yeah, what's yours?
My favorite activity, well, my overall favorite program area is all of our aerial sports.
Okay.
That's my favorite. And it is either Alexander's Eagle Flight, formerly known as Big Zip, or our canopy tours. And then
Okay.
the 5 stand as an honorable mention, especially with Sydney. I don't know if you're watching, but Sydney, I miss you as a shotgun instructor.
So, I think that so I love going down Alexander's Eagle Flight, formerly known as the Big Zip. A lot of fun, and for those of you who might have some trepidation, you kind of ease into the fall instead of jumping just right off. So don't let the fall put you off too much. I think my favorite program, and I hear from leaders a lot, like coming up to camp, that their scouts maybe don't want to participate in like wheeled sports, or maybe they have no experience doing wheeled sports, or particularly like skateboarding and BMX. And one thing that we see and hear like so often from our participants, on feedback surveys and like when in the like closing ceremonies that we do with them, is that like the wheels programs they did were amazing and they loved every second of it. And so from that perspective, like I think that is really cool and worthwhile, because like zip lines, like a lot of folks like zip lines, like a lot of folks, like a lot of the things we do here, a lot of folks, doing shooting sports activities and all that good stuff. I really like those wheeled sports activities that we offer here. One, because not many places offer those, and two, very few people seem to have experience doing those, and when they actually try them and they end up really enjoying them. So I think that's super cool. So
Awesome.
yeah. What about you, Corey? Everyone
Yeah,
else
what
had their
about you,
favorite program areas.
So I was sitting here thinking, and I'm like, so I've actually never really done a lot of the program here because I'm always taking pictures of the program here. But one thing I did get to do last year that was super fun was the 1,000-yard range. And so that was a really fun experience, and just hearing the shot fire, and then like 2 seconds later, hearing either, well, you missed it, or you hear the ping, and it's like, that's a really awesome experience. And like, I just I loved every single second of it, because it was like a exhilarating, and like either you sucked or like you did pretty good. And our shooting sports people are actually really good about making sure that like if something's off, like they adjust it for you, make sure that you do get those repetitive hits. And so, yeah, 1,000-yard range, 100%.
I think they have like 100% success rate ultimately for everyone who's ever tried it, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Cool.
Anyone who has gone there to shoot, they always make sure that you at least hit it once.
Awesome.
No matter what. I think the last time I went up there was somebody who went through like 7 shots trying to hit it, but they finally hit it. And that was like one of the greatest experiences, because you saw like the smile on their face and how happy that they were, just because they hit one shot. And to some people, it may be like, it's one shot, but I mean, you're shooting almost a mile. A mile is 1,600 yards or something like that, and you're shooting 1,000 of it. And so I think it's like 2/3 of a mile, something like that, something crazy. And so or actually a little less than 2/3, but you can get what I'm saying. Super
It's
awesome.
a long way.
Yeah, it's a long way. And so, yeah, it's super awesome shooting sports stuff. Shout out to all of our shooting sports people. Y'all do an amazing job out there at the Barrels and at Scout Camp Shooting Sports. Y'all do an amazing job. So, yeah. My next question for you, though, is getting kind of out of the scouting realm, even though
Yep.
a lot of what you do is scouting.
Hmm.
What are some of your either non-local or local places that you like to go to during your off time?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So I haven't had a ton of that since I moved here, but I would say one, I always enjoy going home. I always enjoy
Mhm.
going to Memphis and seeing friends and family down there. As far as kind of just branching out for quick weekend trips from like the Summit area, Washington D.C. is only 5 hours down the road, so I like going there. Um, I enjoy going to Charlotte, Pittsburgh to maybe do a few things that aren't available in the Beckley Fayetteville metropolitan area here. So, um, and so I like going to those places. As far as I think like really special places, like or like the bigger places, right? Like going to New York. New York City is always enjoyable. Love visiting Seabase. I instructed Camp School down there last year, and even more a Seabase shirt all day Monday because someone on our staff went down for a trek and gave me a shirt. So I wore that all day Monday. So those are some of the farther afield places I like visiting. And so yeah, that's when I am able to do that, that's great. And then also enjoy traveling overseas sometimes too. So Italy's always a good place to go for a day or a couple weeks. Whatever whatever you got. So but yeah, so like I said, I'll be sometimes it's hard to find a couple of days away, but important too. So I try to do that
Right.
when I can.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then as far as locally goes, because that's I think been one of Tori and I's favorite ways to derail the podcast is just like
Oh,
ramble
yeah.
on about like our favorite local restaurants and like little attractions and just like the little
Yeah.
spots we try to enjoy when we can manage to escape for a couple hours here and there.
100%. All right.
I would
so,
think we would
yeah,
both love to hear about some of your favorite local spots as well. So.
Okay, absolutely. So they closed my favorite local restaurant, that like Italian place in Beckley that they closed last year.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name of it,
Yeah.
but I miss it. Rest in peace. But so I think my favorite restaurant up here is probably there are a couple of like good Italian restaurants around that are pretty good. So like I had someone brought me takeout from Padrino's yesterday, so that's pretty good. It's kind of a basic answer, but I like going to the Canyon Room Visitor Center to the bridge. That's always fun. And whenever I have friends or family like driving through, I'll make sure we take them there and walk down all 178 steps and then walk back up just so they get the full experience. I think last year I had the opportunity to do the bridge walk. So like walk underneath the New River Gorge Bridge with our transportation manager Lois, who works there sometimes too, and that was a neat experience. I'm glad I did it, and it's probably the only time that I do it. You're very high up, and that bridge moves because it has to be a little flexible, and so. But that actually leads into my favorite fun fact, which is that the number of Tudor's biscuit rolls that fit in between the river and the bridge is 52. So,
Nice.
For all of the listeners out there, make sure you tell your friends that. So yeah, I also a little bit farther out, going over to like the Gauley River, like in Summersville, is always fun. And then West Virginia has like some of the best state parks that I've ever seen. So like Hawks Nest State Park and Pipestem State Park are both incredible. Babcock with the picturesque like old mill next to the river is always fun. So love all those places. So I've really enjoyed living here. There's a big difference between shifting from a big city to a not so big city, but it's there's still plenty to do and plenty nearby. So what about you guys? Like I know you guys hit the town pretty regularly. So what do you guys like to do? So it's not just cookout.
That is an understatement.
So
I mean, Corey and I we love the national park. I think
Oh, yeah.
that I can speak for the both of us in that regard. Like we both are huge New River Gorge National Park fans. Whenever I get a group and whenever they're looking for something to do in their downtime or on their like pre-day or arrival, whatever it is, I'm like, go to the New River Gorge National Park because it's such I think it's such a important part of like our property and like the summit experience and like especially like working here and everything and we use it so much in like our brand. It's like we sell hats and shirts and sweatshirts with the bridge on it, but a lot of people don't get to experience it.
Mhm.
And it really doesn't get old. Like I think I've been probably at least 6 or 7 times this season. For very whether it was with friends or taking new staff members, and then there was a few times where I was taking my groups either to Long Point or to the visitor center, and it doesn't get old. I'm sure maybe if I went there every day I would get a little burnt out on it, but it's absolutely gorgeous, pun intended. It's super it's magnificent, and I miss it dearly when I'm back in Illinois. So and Fayetteville, love Fayetteville, Pies and Pines, super great that I am kicking and screaming that I need to go there before I leave. I love Cathedral, Wood Iron, some super great shopping and coffee. And then Beckley Cookout is obviously in the heavy rotation. And yeah, those are some of my favorite things in the area for sure. I think Corey.
Oh yeah, definitely going down to Fayette Station underneath the bridge, especially at nighttime. If you can get down there at night and get a picture of the bridge during the night with all the stars and stuff out, always makes for great pictures. A new restaurant that I had not been to until a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, Secret Sandwich Society. I went there for the first time. Amazing sandwich. Pimento fries, I believe, are what they called.
Yes.
Those were great. Love those.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're glad it's reopened.
I've only ever heard good about it. So.
But yeah, all the fun local areas. Can't go wrong with the chocolate mousse.
There it is.
Amazing. I feel like nobody's said it in a while, so I feel like we need.
We have to talk about it. Corey and I love the chocolate mousse. Big chocolate mousse. Shout out to the chocolate mousse, especially shout out to some very dear friends of mine, Kat and Maria, who work out there in the climbing gym and our baristas.
Yep.
So, but we love the chocolate mousse, and I think Corey
Absolutely.
loves it as well.
Yeah, going out there to play mini golf or putt-putt, that was super fun with our team at the beginning of the season. And that was my actually first time going there, was whenever our entire team went for somebody's birthday. And so that was really fun and really good. And then, yeah, just like Clifton said, cookouts frequently in the rotation and sheets, late night sheets runs.
Yes.
I feel like that should be in the staff handbook. You know,
I know.
Have you ever been to Sheets? No. You will be.
Yeah. I know. That should be on the arrival checklist. Have you gone to Sheets and Cookout and the bridge and that, make that. Hey, Braxton Roads, all staff. What if? Oh, that'd be so funny. Imagine just right after all staff, right after dinner, or we have some kind of evening activity during all staff, and then after they're all right, everyone load on the buses. We're not telling you where we're going, and then all 200 plus of us just take over as Sheets.
Their workers would probably
let's have a donor rent out of Sheets. that can be our next donor idea, Johnny.
Everyone, the collection of quintessential staffing experiences.
Yeah, have a day where it's
absolutely.
we do Sheets, the bridge, Cookout, and then do
Cathedral for brunch.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, just
and then everyone can't sleep until 1 a.m. and then get up at 6 for program, and then we can break in on new staff. Forget an interview. Let's just
can you survive day one?
Yeah. Can you survive a late night Sheets run and then getting up in Foxtrot at 7 a.m. for program?
That would be amazing.
We'll have to work on that for next year.
It's
orientation.
Yeah.
Oh man. So real quick, shout out to the bunker as always. I don't have any merch again. We had some last episode, but I don't have any today. But shout out to the bunker. Be sure you go and pick up some amazing Summit merch, and use the discount code SCOUTCAMP this week. All one word, capital S and capital C. So make sure you go to store.summitbsa.org. Use the code ScoutCamp for 25% off all for 25% off on your online orders. You can go pick up some amazing shirts, hats, blankets, towels. We sell it all. So make sure, once again, store.summitbsa.org and use the code ScoutCamp for 25% off your online orders.
And with that, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just thought of a perfect segue because our promo code for the 25% off at the Bunker website is Scout Camp. I think that is a great opportunity to actually just talk about Scout Camp really quick, because I hear this question like 30 billion times a day as a rover. Like, what's the Scout Camp? Like, is it a national thing? Is it only local people? Like, do they do merit badges? Like, do they get to do anything else? Like, what is the deal with Scout Camp? And working, having your office being over there, doing a lot. I mean, obviously you do everything, but having a lot of involvement with Scout Camp and everything. I think this was a great, perfect little segue to talk about. If you could just give us like kind of a brief little spiel on Scout Camp.
That's like the perfect segue. Like, I hope that.
And the bunker is located in Base Camp Delta, where Scout Camp is. So.
Absolutely, and it's not like a scouting thing if there's not a promo for the Trading Post. So, great segue, and I'd love to talk about Scout Camp. So, Scout Camp here at the summit is a really special experience. Like, it's definitely a little different from a traditional Scout Camp experience, but with that, like, we still have a lot of traditional Scout Camp things. So we offer more than 80 merit badges. So we've increased that number significantly over the past couple of years. We offer a number of opportunities to go experience some of the on-site high adventure activities that we have here. And so for scouts who may be nearing the end of their trail to Eagle, they can work on those last couple of merit badges that they have, and then they can go check out the park and the tracks and do skateboarding and BMX for an entire day. They can go on a whitewater trip on the incredible New River, the fourth oldest river and the second newest now national park. There are all sorts of incredible like traditional opportunities. Like, yes, you're going to start off your week with an opening campfire, and you're going to close it with a closing campfire. And then in between, you're probably going to work on merit badges, but you're also going to get access to some experiences that you wouldn't get really anywhere else. And so we have some really incredible opportunities there. We have a fantastic staff. We do things like sing songs and perform skits, so those Scout Camp staples. And then we try to offer a program that is fitting for the only Scout Camp at a National High Adventure base. So it's a really cool experience, and there's something special, I think, about participating in Scout Camp at the place where we do the National Scout Jamboree. And one thing I like about both Scout Camp and the Summit experience is that for those programs, when you go to the program venues, it's like they're waiting for you instead of at a jamboree where you're waiting in line. Even though jamborees are incredible experiences, there are some access opportunities that you have when you come to summer camp or when you come to Summit experience at the Summit that you wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. So it's a really, really neat thing. So come see us in Scout Camp next year, or the Summit experience, or the New River experience, or any of our stuff. So
yes.
And any of the high adventure treks or Scout Camp, or come stay in an FAC tent and still come see us.
Yes, come stay at Family Adventure Camp. If any of you folks are looking for a bargain, it is only $12 a night for Family Adventure Camp tent camping. So
bring your own tent camping.
If you bring your bring your own tent camping, but you still have access to like the Console Energy Bridge, lots of our wonderful hiking trails, fishing as well is included with that. And our wonderful restroom facilities, which have heated showers, which I know a lot of campgrounds, especially some more family-oriented campgrounds, can't always deliver. So yeah, if you're looking for a bargain, come out to Family Adventure Camp.
Absolutely.
Do our primitive camping option.
So, unfortunately, we have come to the end. I think I did pretty good this week on time. I know.
No, I think we even have maybe a couple minutes to spare.
I say we may have a couple minutes. I'm getting told no. Unfortunately, not. Unfortunately, we don't get an extra 5 minutes this week. Johnny, it has been amazing having you on.
Thank you both for
Yeah.
inviting me. I really
No, thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much.
Thanks, Alex, for producing back in
Yep.
the background.
Thank you for your time. As we mentioned, you are a very busy man, so thank you for coming out and joining us. Once again, if you would like to go get some merchandise from Garden Ground Outfitters, be sure you go to store.summitbsa.org and use the code SCOUTCAMP for 25% off your online orders. And unfortunately, next week also may possibly be the last week of blueberry season for the summer season. So, but yeah, we'll get more into that next week.
Yeah.
But as far as this episode goes, Johnny, thank you so much for
Yes,
joining us.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed being here.
Absolutely. And we will see you next week for another amazing episode. Be sure you go follow us, like, and subscribe on all of our platforms. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you all.